Welcome. Welcome to you all. All of you here in the church and also all of you joining us online. You are very welcome. And I'd like to extend an extra special welcome this morning to those of you who are joining us in membership today, officially. We will be recognising and welcoming Jill and Poppy, Jackie, Joan, Steve and Suzanne as full members of this church. Some of them are here in person or online or with us in spirit. And I'd also like to welcome those of you here for the first time. It's very lovely to have you here and to see people supporting each other as well, which is great. So I'd like to share with you, to start with, some words that are familiar to some of you, Rumi's words. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. So let us begin, as is our custom, by lighting our chalice candle as a symbol of our free religious faith. If you're at home, you might like to light a candle too. Suzanne did say there would be a surprise this morning, and she has just remotely lit a candle. So we've got two this morning. May both these flames be symbols for us of the rich warmth of togetherness and the bright light of celebration. May they mark a new moment in our journey, as well as the start of our shared worship together. May it be so. So we're going to sing now, and there are some hymn books around, but there are also words on the screen. We're going to sing hymn number 62, and it's called Here We Have Gathered, which seems like an appropriate way to begin. So we'll just give you a moment to find your places. And if you would like to stand or sit as you prefer, we will sing Here We Have Gathered. And let us join together in prayer. And for those of you who are new here, we simply remain seated. And if you wish to close your eyes, that's up to you. And if you wish to rest your hands in your lap or wherever's comfortable for you, then please do what feels right. Divine Spirit, be with us now. We have each arrived here with our own fears and anxieties, as well as our own hopes and joys, with our own burdens and our own blessings. May we trust that we are each held by this beloved community, just as we are. Help us to be fully present to this time and this space, and to every one of the blessed beings we share this time with today. May we offer ourselves to this moment without pretense or expectation, but honest and open to what unfolds within us and without us. And I invite you to take a few moments now to bring into your hearts and minds those known and unknown to you who may be struggling or suffering in various ways at this time. And I'd also like to bring into the circle Tony Bennett, husband of Rachel, one of our long-term members who hasn't attended recently, living in Liscard, and became a Quaker, but remained a member of our church. Tony sadly died earlier this week. And so we hold him and Rachel and their family also in our prayers. May we send light and blessings, love and compassion to all beings. Blessed be. So in a little while, we will hear from some of our new members. I should say also that Suzanne has put together this beautiful display for us this morning, which is a photograph she took herself. Tintagel Bridge, some of you will recognise that. Well, she told me she risked life and limb to take that photo, so I'm glad she's actually with us this morning. The story is called Rivers, and it's by the Unitarian Universalist Christopher Buice. Once upon a time, there were two rivers flowing side by side, and both rivers liked to argue about who was the best. Obviously, you have to suspend disbelief for this story. The water in my river is better than the water in your river, said one. Ah, no, the water in my river is much better than the water in your river, replied the other. And so the rivers would flow along, arguing about which was better. Doesn't my water make a joyful sound as it runs over the smooth and polished pebbles on my bed? And look at the way the sun reflects from the ripples and the eddies that form around the boulders at my edges. These things are so beautiful. Surely I am the best river, said the first. But the other replied, but look at all the fish that swim in my clear, cool water. And have you heard the frogs singing at night? They live in the reeds and lilies that grow on my banks. I'm home to so many wonderful creatures. Surely I must be the best river. And so they continued to argue until one day something strange and unexpected happened. The rivers rounded a bend and found themselves sliding down as small falls, and suddenly saw that they were flowing towards something much bigger and greater than themselves. Up ahead were big, crashing waves, and water everywhere as far as they could see. They continued to rush faster and faster until the water from both rivers churned together into the vast and enormous ocean. And then a sound came from the sky. It came from a cloud that chuckled for a moment and then said, now see how foolish you've been. There is no highest or lowest. There is no greatest or least. All things are one, and all are joined like rivers into the sea. Story by Christopher Buice. And now I'm going to invite the first two members to say just a little something, just a few words about, why they're here, what brought them here perhaps, whatever feels right for them. And I'm going to invite them to come up to the lectern, and I'm looking sort of meaningfully at Jill to see if she might start us off. And then after Jill, we'll invite Joan, who's with us online, but we hope to be able to see her on the screen. So, Jill.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you all for accepting me into your lovely church. I've always loved churches, but for the last 70 years, I liked them without the vicar in them till I came here. After I lost my lovely Reverend Denny in Perivale Free Church, I was never the same again. But when I came here, I was a little bit weary and worn and sad underneath. There were a lot of family problems. I lost my sister-in-law, and I told her she couldn't die. She kept saying, I'm going to die. I'm going to die shortly. I said, you can't. I haven't got the gravitas to be the family matriarch. Yes, you can do it. But I got the job. So I was a little bit down when I came. But I found peace, I found friendship. And I was thinking of a poem I used to know years ago. For some reason, I thought Lawrence Binyon wrote it, and I was looking for it this morning. He didn't, or at least I can't find it in my poetry book by him. And it sort of sums up how this little place has helped kickstart me, because it says, for life is colour and warmth and light, with a continual striving after these, and he is dead who will not fight. And he dies fighting, as so is. I always used to think it was warlike. Now I realise it's not. I can apply it to my own life. And this little place has helped me just go. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jill, for your lovely words. And if the miracles of technology allow, we'll see if we can see Joan.
Hello, Plymouth. I saw you at the beginning, at the opening, but I presume you're all there, and you're all here with me in our spare bedroom. And thank you so much for welcoming me into your number. I was a member of the NUF and still am, because I feel that Unitarians network, they link, they recognise that we are all one in spirit. And when the pandemic came, we could no longer go out and film, which we used to love doing. We would go to different churches and we'd film. But I couldn't really worship because I had to make sure the camera was focused. I dare not make a mistake because I'm technically inept. So I had to make sure I'd got my camera pointed and focused in the right way. The pandemic came, we could no longer film. So connection with a church or a chapel left me. But fortunately, Myron was trying to do something very special at Plymouth, and he joined the UK UTV team, not as an official member, but he came to learn and for us to learn from him. And so I came to Plymouth to see what he was doing, to cast not a critical eye, but to see if there was anything we could learn or we might be able to suggest. He's way ahead of us now, way ahead. And I'm glad about that because it allows me to be with you in Plymouth all the way here from Castle Donington in the East Midlands. So I hope our friendship will continue. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, and I'm glad you're all meeting afterwards to share lunch, and I hope it's a beautiful lunch. And I wish all the new members and all the old members the very best here from Castle Donington, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Joan. We are definitely all here and with you, not in your room, but but watching you and listening to you. Thank you for your lovely words. Joan also sent me a very lovely email of thanks, which I'm going to make available for those of you staying to read later if you'd like to. Thank you, Joan. So we will hear later from Suzanne and also from Poppy. But let us now just take a little time for our own quiet reflection and to use for our own prayer and meditation as we prefer, and then to listen to some reflective music. was Clíodhna ní Aodáin, the Irish cellist, playing Anam Chara. So I would like to invite two more of our members, new members, to share something of their journey. And I'm doing this in strictly alphabetical order. There's no favoritism. And next is Poppy.
Hello. A little bit nervous. It's nice to see all of your faces in person, having just seen them before on Zoom, thanks to Myron and his wondrous technology. Hi, I'm Poppy. I'm from Cornwall, so just across the bridge. And yes, it's a real honour to be here with you all and to be welcomed into the church. I guess, discovered Unitarianism last spring when I was doing some research into the religious beliefs of Charles Dickens for my master's thesis at the time. And I noticed lots of similarities with some of his, at the time, liberal progressive views around inclusivism and obviously the idea of us all being interconnected and kind of removing what I would call the stumbling blocks I have to maybe some aspects of faith around original sin and things like that. And it really spoke to me. I realised a lot of my spiritual beliefs and the principles, the exploration of the self and divine as a community, I really felt it was something I should look into. So I did over the summer and was hiding behind the recordings around like June time, and then actually came live to a service, I think in November. But I really wanted to join as a member because I felt it's basically an expression of how important I feel exploring my spirituality is with like-minded people in a community that feels welcoming and safe and kind of like a home, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Poppy actually is going to lead the service next week with me. So she'll be back again. And I think she's already starting the theme because it's on Halloween. And I think you're already dressed for the part. Excellent. Thanks so much, Poppy. Suzanne.
Well, I've written mine down somewhere. Right. You say hello, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me back. You do know me. I've been here and away and back again and everything, but I'm here to stay now, folks. So, you know, you've had it. I'm here. So I've written down what I'm going to say to you. And as a driver all my adult life, I have travelled along many roads. I don't always know the way to my destination. So I will refer to the road map book. And this morning's service makes me think of my Christian journey and where the road map might be. Driving home last Tuesday at 10 p.m. from Cornwall, it was very misty and wet. Thank goodness for the cat's eyes and clear white lines. Like my Christian journey, not able to see the road ahead. But I can refer to the past as a signpost. And in 1992, September the 13th, I was baptised, fully submerged into 5 different churches at Christ Church Ecumenical Church at Estover in Plymouth. There are people who were there almost 30 years ago in this church now. Kathy and Chris. And Brenda, who was the Methodist preacher that morning, is here with her husband, Michael, a prominent Methodist. That experience left me with a responsibility that I hope to realise. Professor Adrian Thatcher wrote, God's love requires transformation, not just in our lives, but in church and world alike. And if you can bear with me another minute, I've written a poem for this time explaining a little how I see God. And it's called The God I Know. The God I know. When an artist steps aside to share their creation, they leave some of themselves within that creation. I sense God in the silence after a wave has smashed against the rocks. The sun that beams down touches warmly my face. The blackbird's song after a storm, and the lambs dancing with delight on the moor. In the music softly playing, when I am sad, the God I know, yeah, is there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Suzanne, for sharing your words and your poem.
You're
and
welcome.
again, for this lovely display.
You're welcome. Everyone's welcome.
So I'm going to share a few words and really about belonging and what that might mean for us in church as a community. So you may have come across Elizabeth Roberts. She edited a book called Earth Prayers, and I know that's a book I dip into quite often. And she wrote this about belonging. She said, belonging is the basic truth of our existence. We belong here. Life belongs here. Likewise, at the heart of gratefulness, in its deepest sense, we also find an expression of belonging. When we say thank you, we're really saying we belong together. It's relationship. And maybe that is why we sometimes find it difficult to say thank you, because perhaps we don't want to acknowledge our interdependence. We don't want to be obliged. But in a healthy society, that is exactly what we seek, mutual obligations. Everyone is obliged to everyone and everything. We all belong together. We are of each other. In this awareness, we are freed from self-preoccupation, and only then, emptied of self, can we be filled with thanks. Those are words by Elizabeth Roberts. Well, I don't know how you feel about the word obligation, but I must admit I don't immediately warm to it. It sounds quite heavy and irksome. But yet, of course, I recognise the truth that we are, anyway, whether we like it or know it or not. We are obliged to each other. And that in a healthy community, what we need and what helps us actually feel that sense of belonging is a kind of mutual obligation. Not one that's grudging or coerced, but one which is freely and willingly and lovingly entered into. I think we all know that it's important to feel needed and useful, just as it is encouraging to feel appreciated and accepted. Aren't these the very conditions that help us humans flourish? And it's true, isn't it, that we do yearn to belong. even though we already do belong. Belonging is the basic truth of our existence, said Elizabeth Roberts, and as our two competing rivers discovered in our story, and as Nummely Brennett sang in our opening music today when she sang the words, "I belong to fields and skies and plains. I belong to numbers without name. I belong." And it's true, we do, and yet, still locked in our individual minds and bodies as we inevitably experience life, it can be hard to believe it. We can, and we often do, feel as though we're isolated and separate and alone. So perhaps one of the reasons we might come here is to seek connection. It's that yearning to feel that we're part of something that's bigger than ourselves, and wanting to give and receive and to offer and to accept. Deep down, I think we do want that. And along the way, if we allow it, then I think we do begin to find ourselves quite naturally developing some healthy mutual obligations. We discover that we are each, in fact, obligated to each other in a good way, a way which helps every one of us address some of that existential aloneness that we're all familiar with, a way that reconnects us over and over again with the underlying truth of our togetherness, both with each other as well as with the divine. A way that reminds us once more that we belong to fields and skies and plains, to life and God and the universe which holds us all. And so today, Jill, Poppy, Jackie, who can't be with us today, unfortunately, Joan, who's over there, to Steve, and to Suzanne. We welcome you. We welcome you as full members of this community. We embrace each one of you, just as you are. Thank you for being you, in all your beauty and originality and quirkiness. You each bring the unique gift of yourselves, and it's a gift that only you can bring. And we are honoured that you have chosen to join us. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone here when I say that we will do our best to support you on your spiritual journey and to be there for you in times of sorrow and joy. That we look forward to walking life's path alongside you, encouraging you in your trials, celebrating in your triumphs, and working together with you to build inclusive spiritual community here. Above all, we hope you will feel that you belong. And so I'm going to invite each of you who are here in the room, not each of you are here in the room, the four of you who are joining in membership officially today, to come forward and sign into our membership book. And then we have just some small gifts to give you. Joan has already received hers by post, and Jackie will receive hers by post this week. So would you like to come in the order that you started, Jill? So I think it's time to sing again in celebration. We're going to sing hymn number 167, There Is a Place I Call My Own. It doesn't say this particular place in the song, but I like to think this could be one of the places that you might call your own. So let's sing hymn number 167. Lovely. Now, today we're going to have our notices after the service and before we go for coffee and or breakout rooms. And also, I hope those of you here, as many of you as possible, will be able to stay and share some food together, which would be lovely. But for now, I'm going to offer some closing words for Belonging by John O'Donoghue, and then we'll listen to some music and also a video. We have a video for the music too. So here are our closing words. May you listen to your longing to be free. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing, whispering in your heart. May you find a harmony between your soul and your life. May the sanctuary of your soul never become haunted. May you know the eternal longing that lives at the heart of time. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. May you allow the wild beauty of the invisible world to gather you mind you, and embrace you in belonging. Amen.